on 710 KURV. Now, I don't, to kind of give you an idea of what's going on in Washington, D.C., because our Western Valley Congressman, Henry Cuellar, about a month, maybe 2 months ago, had gotten carjacked in Washington, D.C. This is supposed to be like, hey, this is where all of our public officials are at. It's supposed to be super safe. And he had lost all of his devices, his cell phone, his laptop, his tablet, his sushi dinner. And I'm not joking. That actually happened. He had mentioned that. And obviously the car. But I was forwarded by a friend, somebody who lives in the Washington, D.C. area. She's a writer in the area. She's a fellow journalist. And her name is Sofia Hamilton from Young Voices, joining us now. She's a research associate at one of the think tanks up there in Washington, D.C., focusing on many, many issues. But one of those is going to be this thing. So your story in Washington, D.C., where you can't even get pepper spray, I thought was fascinating. So tell us what happened.
Hi, thank you so much for having me on. Yeah, so actually I found out that it's completely legal to have pepper spray in DC. That's one thing that our local government hasn't messed up, which is surprising. But it's actually retailers who are refusing to send it to DC citizens. So I always carry pepper spray on myself. You know, that's just like one safety precaution that you can take as a woman, as anyone living in a city. I caution everyone that they should be carrying that around. And I went to go order some on Amazon when I had lost mine, and they refused to send it to my apartment. So I had to do some digging, and I found out that it's totally legal, but Amazon was not understanding the law, so they were refusing to send it to my address in D.C. and any other address in Washington.
Can you give us an idea, because we're not that we're in a rural area, but we're in a highly populated area that's kind of spaced out. Right, so we're not like a Houston, we're not like a Dallas, Fort Worth area, but we are a highly populated area. But we've been hearing that the big cities have been having a pretty high crime rate. Can you give us an idea of what that looks like from your end?
Yeah, so personally, I'm not really encountering a lot of crime. There's always gun violence, and that's in really any big city in America, which is disheartening. But so you have to watch out for gun violence. Being vigilant with your surroundings. There has been a lot of robberies. I have a lot of friends who have been robbed, sometimes at gunpoint. So being careful of who's walking around you, making sure that you're watching your surroundings. There's also been a lot of theft in stores. So sometimes going into your local pharmacies, your CVS, Walgreens, there's going to be things on the shelves that you have to get an associate to go and grab from the back room, or it's locked up. So there's a lot of just being a lot more careful than you would be out back in the suburbs or in a more rural area. And it can have some inconveniences and also some safety issues.
Joining us on 710 KURV from Washington, D.C., our nation's capital, is Sofia Hamilton. She's a writer and a research associate at one of the think tanks over there, joining us on your 956 drive home. Davis Rankin, your question.
It's kind of left field. Are you able to carry, what's the law when it comes to carrying a pistol, a revolver, or semi-automatic? Is that allowed? You have to have a permit? What's the story?
So the law has changed in the past couple of years. You are allowed in some circumstances. So if it's pretty hard to get access to a gun legally here, though a lot of people have them illegally, and a lot of bad guys have guns illegally in DC, which is a big problem here. You can get access to a firearm to carry, but you have to be able to show that there's a reasonable expectation that you're at danger, and that's why you need that firearm. So just me saying, oh, I'm a young woman in a city, I have to go walk outside with my dog at night, that's not gonna get me access to a gun.
Really?
Really?
I thought that had changed. I thought that shows you we need to keep up on things.
So
why don't you do it? Get arrested and you go and make the case. Be the person who changes the law.
We always hear about DC being a giant gun-free zone, but we didn't think that it would be cumbersome to get any other type of self-defense item, like as detailed in your story in the Washington Examiner. Have you tried different forms of self-defense over there other than pepper spray?
So when I wasn't able to order pepper spray, I went on Amazon. I do all of my shopping online, as any person does in a city. And I was looking for other self-defense weapons that I could have. I could get myself a stun gun, though there's downsides with that because you have to be close to the person to use it, and that's just not going to work out for me as a small woman. I found out I could buy a real samurai sword. I could buy a giant knife. So there's all of these other random weapons that I could easily get delivered to my apartment in D.C., but I couldn't get a pepper spray keychain. And,
what was their
that was
excuse?
Amazon's rule. So Amazon, I tried contacting them a lot, and it was actually one of our council members that was able to get in contact with representatives from Amazon. And Amazon said that they had interpreted DC's code to mean that they needed some sort of license, that their retailers needed licenses to sell pepper spray. I don't know how they came to that conclusion because I read through the code many, many times, and there's really nothing to that effect in there. So they just misinterpreted this rule, but hopefully that will be fixed.
They don't have any checkpoints over there where you can just, hop over to the next state, grab it, and then kind of smuggle it in?
You just drive in.
So that's actually how I got my pepper spray, is I sent it to a friend that lives in Arlington, Virginia, a quick 10-minute drive across the border, and they came and brought it to me. And that's what I've done for a lot of friends that have needed it. I just send it to my friend's address, and they bring it in, and it kind of feels like I'm smuggling. It feels like I'm doing something wrong, but it's completely legal.
Yes, how dare you defend yourself? Yes.
If you will buy a samurai sword and show us proof of purchase, we will contribute $50 to the price of that samurai sword. And then we want a picture of you walking down the street with the samurai sword.
I will mention, I'm pretty sure it's legal to have that in Texas.
Oh, great.
I'm pretty sure you can carry pretty much any blade that you want in Texas. But
I think you're right.
Any closing notes that you'd like to mention, and where can we find more stories written by you, Miss Sofia?
Yeah, so I just have to thank our council member Christina Henderson. She's the one that was able to pass this legislation that ensures that retailers know that it is legal to send pepper spray to DC citizens, DC addresses. So I'm really happy that that's gone forward, and we'll see some change there. But you can follow me on Twitter at Sofia Hamilton.
Okay.
Thanks a lot, Sofia. We appreciate it very, very much. That's Sofia Hamilton. You can check out her article at the Washington Examiner titled, "Why Won't Retailers Mail Pepper Spray to Residents of Crime-Ridden D.C.?" You're listening to News Talk